This week's selected medias for my pod represented different things, but I was intrigued at how well they actually related to one another through the empowerment of women in our society and within our different medias. Powerful women are a very important image to see. From the two selected medias, there are powerful women through higher positions in male-dominated fields and being a badass while doing it, and through body positivity and self-love. Starting off with Scandal, I think Olivia has a very interesting take on why characters like Olivia Pope and Annalise Keating are idolized in today's society. She believes it's because they are relatively new glimpses of Black female representation, and that as a society, we're eager to celebrate these new glimpses of women. By idolizing characters like Pope and Keating and eagerly consuming the medias with these depictions, hopefully society will open more doors for this to become a reality and for more representation of Black women to come about. I think it's important that Black women have powerful representations like this in different medias because it shows them that they can be those powerful and independent women just like the characters on TV. However, Addie brings up the idea that because she's a white woman she can't completely compare herself to Pope and Keating. And because of this, she can see how Black women may feel inadequate or misrepresented after seeing these characters in the media. There aren't a lot of positive depictions of Black women in American media, so Black women may feel that they have a lot to live up to in order to be like the women in these shows. But because of Addie's identity as a white woman and because of my identity as a white woman, we don't really know how Black women feel about these characters. Carissa says she's uncomfortable with these types of characters because they are too perfect. However, I disagree. It's obvious in the 7th season that Pope messed up and has to deal with the aftermath of whatever she did. And this episode also sheds light on the struggles like alcoholism and almost being disbarred that Keating has to deal with because of the false accusation of murdering her husband. So I don't think that these characters are too perfect. They have struggles and miscommunications that a lot of other people have as well. And I just think that the world needs to see their stories and the character arcs in these shows to see them as the imperfect characters that they are. Tori says that the portrayal of white male patriarchy in America in the show is mostly realistic and shows how unfair the social justice system in America is. She also comments on how quickly the president's affair with Amanda Tanner is swept under the rug, and that even Olivia Pope told Amanda her reputation would be the one that's ruined, not the president's reputation. And I had talked about this idea in a similar way in my own response, that the married white male president is unfaithful multiple times, but no long-term repercussions take place for him, as is seen in the 7th season of the show. He continues on with his life and is successful in his career, with his affairs swept under the carpet. However, if a female president was depicted this way, her reputation would most likely be destroyed. And this also made me think of how the female president is depicted in the 7th season. She is seen as hard, unrelenting, and doesn't compromise with the other characters when she's just attempting to do what she thinks is best for the country at that time. And instead, she's seen as the villain or as the adversary in the episode. Moving on to Dumplin' and the power of body positivity, I was enthralled by the question of why Millie or Willow Dean didn't end up winning the pageant. I believed it to be a statement on society's beauty standards and that as a society we have a long way to go in terms of these standards and body positivity. And many of my classmates pretty much agreed with what I had said, or not agreed, but they said the same thing, and Tori believed it was because it showed that the world doesn't change instantly, and an institution like teen pageants isn't going to change overnight. As a society, we need to work together to change these beauty standards of women of all ages. And Addie says that the directors were just trying to prove that people will always have a preference for beauty. And she also brings up the fact that employers always seem to hire the prettier candidate, even if they have the same qualifications as someone deemed unpretty. Being an attractive person in America, whether you're male or female, has advantages that many people don't see. And the directors of the film were trying to illuminate the fact and show that the typical pretty girl will probably always come out on top if society doesn't change its standards and the views on unpretty women. The other discussion question surrounding Dumplin that spoke to me was the one regarding why Willow Dean's weight wasn't mentioned in the film. And I believe it's because it would be strange to mention a character's weight. Films about skinny girls never mention their weight, so why would this one? And all that matters is Willow Dean is perceived as a bigger girl in the film about her. And all of my other classmates who responded to this question agreed that Willow Dean's age or exact weight isn't important to the plot of the film. One response to Dumplin that really stood out to me was Gabrielle's about her favorite quote from the movie. The quote she chose was, "Boys like Bo don't date girls like me." And that's something that many girls seem to think. They look at themselves and believe they aren't worthy of a certain boy's attention because of what society deems as attractive and normal in male to female attraction. I know I have thought this exact thing many times when I was younger. I would look at a boy that I had a crush on and think, why would he like me? I'm not as pretty as that girl or as smart as that girl. And now that I'm older, I don't necessarily care what men perceive of me. I can see that it was society's beauty standards that made me think this way. I looked at the girls on TV and in magazines and thought, this is what boys and men want, so why would they want me? And speaking of what's seen on TV and in other medias, these two selected medias brought me back to misrepresentation and how women often measure themselves against an impossible standard, whether it be black females watching the powerful characters of Olivia Pope or Annalise Keating, or the fat girls watching skinny girls win time and time again. We all measure ourselves against the standard that we've been conditioned to think is the most beautiful and most wanted in today's society. These standards won't change unless depictions of other imperfect women are shown, and we need to normalize the struggle of the black woman and the fact that not all women are going to be skinny in order for our standards to change as a society. Both Scandal and Dumplin empowered me this week. I was able to see that overcoming the obstacles of the white male patriarchy and the lack of body positivity are two ways society's beauty standards can and should change, and I really look forward to the day that more black female characters with different identities and different struggles and bigger women are shown as protagonists to show that these specific women are powerful too, and to show the women that these specific characters represent that they're powerful, they can do what they want to do, and they can be independent without beauty standards or without what men perceive as what should be done.